Welcome back to The Edge. We're here for some NBA coverage on Friday, April 19th. Got two NBA playing games taking place here. We got the Bulls at the Heat and the Kings of the Pelicans. These two games are being played for the 8th seed. In their respective conferences, one of these two teams between the Kings and the Pelicans will end up playing Braxton's Thunder in the first round, which is exciting. But going to get things started here with the Bulls and the Heat in the Eastern Conference matchup. Current lines for this one have the Heat as 1.5-point favorites at home, over or under of 207. Braxton, just looking at the initial lines for this one, we'll get into some props that we like as well. But just looking at the spread and the over/under, anything stand out to you there?
Well, I kind of thought the Chicago Bulls would be favored by 1 or 2 points because Butler is doubtful, I assume, with his knee injury, maybe MCL. That could be devastating. And then Caruso is doubtful too with a sprain. Apparently, Drummond stepped on his foot during the game, and it's a bad sprain. So both of those guys are doubtful. That definitely changes the game on both ends of the court. So it makes it a little harder for books to precisely identify what it should be. So there may be some value because of that.
Yeah, I did find it interesting. The Heat are 5-0 at home this season without Jimmy Butler when they're favored in those games. So, relatively small sample size, but still a very deep team with a lot of talent. And Erik Spoelstra at home in basically a playoff game. I do lean towards the Heat. I'm not sure if I'll end up betting the spread on the money line here, but I do lean the Heat to pull this out at home, even without Jimmy Butler. I think the loss of Alex Caruso is pretty significant because that would be their top defensive counter for Tyler Hero. Could see this being a big Tyler Hero game, but Braxton, I want to ask you too. You've had a ton of success with your first basket props on NBA games throughout the season. Do we have lines? Do we have odds for first basket for this game yet?
So they have first basket, but not the exact methods, which that's what I'll be targeting in this game because Adebayo's heavily favored to win the tip-off. Miami should get the first shot, and Chicago has been a terrible three-point defense all year, and targeting them has been very successful in terms of the opposing three-point shooters. So Nikola Jovic 3-point, Caleb Martin 3-point, those are the kind of props that I'm going to look at. And if I'm getting maybe 18-1 around that area, it's going to be a play for me.
Love it. Yeah, go make sure you follow Braxton on Twitter. He's going to be posting all of his first basket plays over there. I'm over on DraftKings right now. No real player props for this one either yet. I think because of the injury uncertainty. But one that I did want to shout out, I saw one book had a line on Jaime Jaquez over 21.5 PRs. I'm going to be very interested in Jaquez props in this game. In 22 games without Jimmy Butler this season, averaging 23 PRAs, hit the over in 15 of those, so 68% hit rate. Only played 22 minutes against the Sixers, but Butler played 40 minutes. That won't be there anymore. And then you also have Terry Rozier still questionable with his neck injury. Duncan Robinson, bit of a weird situation with a back injury. The report was that he wouldn't have a minutes limit, and then he didn't play against Philly. So we'll see what his status is for this game. But Hawk is a player who, when he was at UCLA, so obviously a rookie in the NBA now, but when he was at UCLA, just a guy who would always step up in the biggest moments, especially during March Madness tournament, conference tournament, all those things. And I think he thrives in these big games. I think he could have a huge one on Friday night as they gave him a bigger minutes load without Butler. Any player props you're going to have your eye on here, Braxton?
Yeah, so first I just want to say that Heat money line, like you said, is also my lean, although I don't think the game lines are good enough to bet in this spot. For player props, Tyler Hero over 23.5 points at minus 115. I think that's the angle to take because with Caruso out, he's one of the best screen navigators in the NBA, one of the biggest pests on ball. It's going to make it easy for Hero to get open. And especially with Bam's, should we call it questionable screens at times to get him open? I think he's going to have a lot of space for that pull-up three because Vooch is going to be in a deep drop. He's not a guy that's going to blitz. And I don't think Chicago's guards can really navigate that screen. So the pull-up game is going to be open for Hero. And then they're not really running plays for Bam Adebayo. He has it in him to get 20 points, but I don't know. They just don't like to run through him. They like to use him as a playmaking hub and not as a scorer. I think Hero kind of steps up and takes that scoring load with Butler out. And, 26 points is what I think would be reasonable for him. So I like 23.5 here.
Yeah, I like that. And correct me if I'm wrong. You know more about the schematics than I would, but the Bulls strike me as a team that's very good defending the post and not as good defending the perimeter, right?
They kind of designed their defense to give up open threes. They really don't want to let up interior shots. You can't really get rim shots on them. They give up a lot of threes, though. Fifth most wide open threes per game.
Got it. So definitely some benefit to hero there, especially without Alex Caruso. Let's go over to the Kings and the Pelicans in the Western Conference. Currently have the Kings laying -1.5 on the road here, over under 212.5. Definitely was initially surprised to see the Kings as favorites here because Pelicans went 5-0 against the Kings this season. Average margin of victory was 19.2 points, but no Zion Williamson for the Pelicans after one of the better games of his career, in my opinion. 40 points and 11 rebounds against the Lakers in that first playing game. No Zion here, so definitely a big hit for the Pelicans. Braxton, we'll start on the spread and the over-under here. Anything strike you as being playable right now?
Yeah, so I was with you. I was thinking New Orleans was going to be a little bit favorite, maybe 2 points. But the more I dove into the analysis and kind of thought about what I watched, I really like the Kings here. I like them at -1.5. And first off, Zion injury is huge. He was playing probably the best basketball of his life in last game. He was demolishing the Lakers. He's out for this game. That's huge. Also, no Monk and Herter to be mindful of for Kings, even though it didn't really matter for them in their demolition over the Warriors. But, the Kings are 11th in net rating, 4th against the spread on the road. They don't really have a problem playing on the road, which I like to see that. That's my first indication of, whether taking a team on the road is good. And I look at the matchups. Pelicans give up the second most wide open threes and the second largest catch and shoot 3-point frequency. Now the Kings, they do run a lot of dribble handoffs, which get a lot of catch and shoot threes for them. And I think they have the guys to kind of capitalize because Lyles, Barnes, Murray, even Keon Ellis, those are guys that can hit tough shots. And when you surround that with Fox, with Sabonis, I think their offense is going to do well. And then on the flip side, CJ McCollum struggled, and Keon Ellis has been a defensive monster. He's going to be on him. Brandon Ingram also looked limited, I guess. He looked not right in his last game. He's still coming off an injury, and Keegan Murray is one of the best isolation defenders in the league. I think he can kind of contest that turnaround mid-range jumper that Ingram loves. With those two kind of nullified, Zion out, I'm just not very high on New Orleans offense in this game. And since Ellis was a starter 19 games ago, Kings are third in defensive rating. They've really picked it up with Ellis in the starting lineup. So I really like the matchup on both sides. Herb on Fox is a concern. Trey Murphy could get hot from three. But overall, I think taking Kings against the spread is the play here.
Any interest in a Pelicans team total play? Currently seeing 105.5 on DraftKings.
That's well set to me. I wouldn't touch that.
Yeah, it's a pretty low number. That's fair. I do have a couple of player props I'll hit. The first one I want to get your opinion on is you just mentioned Herb Jones against De'Aaron Fox. Was looking at De'Aaron Fox under 27.5 points here. Averaged just 21.2 points against Pelicans in those 5 games this season. 40% shooting overall, and a couple of really ugly stat lines spread throughout those 5 games. Only over 27.5 points in 12 of his last 30 games, so just a 40% hit rate over that sample size. And I mean, Herb Jones, probably first team All NBA or first team All Defense this season, and maybe the best guy that you want on De'Aaron Fox in a game like this. So, what do you think about that De'Aaron Fox underplay?
Yeah, I like it. I think Valanciunas, he was one of the worst rim protectors in the league. And I think that kind of benefits Sabonis in this spot more than Fox because of how good Herb is at stopping drivers and forcing kickouts. So I think it's a Sabonis and kind of role player 3-point shooting game for the Kings. And Fox takes more of a passing role. I might target his assists instead of his under points too. That could be a good angle also.
Yeah, let's see what that's priced at right now.
Even
Currently seeing
both of those look good to me.
6.5 assists at plus money. So potentially some value there. Any first basket plays that you like in this game?
I'm playing Ingram and Valanciunas exact method other. So Valanciunas favored to win the tip-off. And the Kings, they allow a lot of paint and field goal attempts that are not in the restricted area. That's kind of Valanciunas and Ingram. They take a lot of first shots from that area. And those two also combine to take 53% of New Orleans' first field goal attempts. So heavy volume. It's a decent matchup for their shot profile, even though over the course of the game, I don't think they do that well. So yeah, I like 6-1 for Ingram and 11-1 for Valanciunas other. And to clarify, other is a 2-point shot that's not layup or dunk. So jump hook, pull up 2-pointer, anything that's not layup or dunk.
Love it. You mentioned Valanciunas. I'll get your opinion on one more prop before you get out of here. Looking at Valanciunas' lines in this one, they did come up quite a bit. I played him in that the last Kings Pelicans regular season game before the season was over. His lines have come up since that one. He's at 23.5 PRAs, 21.5 points plus rebounds, so up a little bit, but averaged 14.2 points and 11.2 rebounds against the Kings this season. Cleared his points plus rebounds line in all 5 of those. Double-double in all 5 of those games. Only played 7 minutes against the Lakers, but obviously based on the lines here, expecting that to be much higher in this one. What do you think about Valanciunas' matchup here?
I think I'm a little bit worried because the Pelicans have gone to Larry Nance a lot recently. And I think they've kind of realized that Valanciunas' defense just isn't viable for a postseason setting or a high-pressure setting. So the minutes, they kind of worry me. But I think the matchup is okay for him. He's going to get some jump hooks. The bonus is going to let him have those. And I think points plus rebounds would be a decent prop.
All right, last question before we get out of here, Braxton. Who would you rather play if you're the Thunder in the first round between the Kings and the Pelicans?
Probably the Kings because Herter's out and Monk will be out for majority of the series. I know no Zion, but the Thunder, they don't do well against corner shooters. And I kind of think CJ McCollum could take over. Herb Jones scares me. Herb Jones is one of the best, maybe the best SGA defender on the planet. I think the Kings are a little bit better matchup for them, so I would roll with them.
Yeah, I was going to say Herb Jones against SGA in a series would be a lot of fun to watch with that matchup. But exciting stuff. Almost to full playoff basketball, so make sure you check out our series previews up on the YouTube channel as well. Braxton, any final thoughts on these 2 games here on Friday night?
I think the favorites prevail. I think the Kings and the Heat prevail.
Alrighty, should be a couple of great games here in the play-in. Excited to get into some playoff basketball. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're launching this new channel, so excited to have you join us, and we'll catch you on the next video.